Once there was a traveller, not just any traveller, but the kind who steps into the unknown, not because they're fearless, because they've trained themselves to become fascinated by uncertainty. Imagine you're that traveller now. And just like a ship navigating a stormy sea, you're constantly adjusting, not because you're lost, because real mastery is the dance between direction and adaptation. You may begin to remember times when recalibrating felt natural, when flexibility wasn't weakness, but precision disguised as playfulness. You see, questions are keys. Not just ordinary questions, but open-ended, emotion-opening, belief-bending questions. They soften the hardest shell of identity and create space where curiosity lives. Because when you ask, how would I feel if I already believed this? You're not seeking an answer, you're shaping reality. And what happens when a question becomes a mirror? Because true rapport, happens not through words, but through vibrations, through a subtle mirroring of breath, a rhythm of energy, an unconscious hum that says, I see you. When they feel seen, they begin to follow, because the strongest frame always wins. And the strongest frame is not the loudest, it's the most congruent, the most emotionally aligned. Let's play with this, shall we? You recall a time you felt unstoppable, a time when joy wasn't a goal, it was the engine. That state is that one. You could step back into it now. Feel how it shifts your breathing, your tone, the way you sit. The room changes because you do. What if that's the point? That changing your state at will, it isn't a trick, it's your nature. Emotions aren't distractions, they're tools. You don't suppress them, you sculpt them. Like a sculptor removing all the pieces that aren't the masterpiece. Remember, you're not here to perform, you're here to play. Be wild, outrageous, curious. Let go of the outcome just enough to surprise even yourself. Because mystery creates magnetism, and predictability breeds invisibility. You were never meant to blend in. When you interrupt your own patterns, you signal to your unconscious, pay attention. You snap yourself awake, and in that moment you become a creator, not a reactor. Like the time a monk asked, what's the sound of one hand clapping? And the student confused laughed. That laugh was the breakthrough, because laughter interrupts, laughter installs, laughter opens the door. So let's go deeper. The mind doesn't resist metaphors, so I'll tell you another story. There was once a lighthouse that guided ships, not by shouting instructions, but by being steady. Even as storms howled, it shined without effort. Why? Because it knew what it was. You too are the lighthouse. When you accept your presence as a gift, people begin to sail toward you. Now imagine if you installed that metaphor deeply. What would that change? Now let's layer it. Every time you reframe resistance as feedback, you loosen the grip of limitation. Every time you match a person's emotional state, then shift your own. You lead the dance. Every time you ask, what else could this mean? Your unconscious, it expands like ripples across a calm lake. Every time you remember a success and feel it fully, you collapse time and space and bring that power into the now. And when you ask, what's the belief that I need to hold for this to become easy, natural, inevitable, something shifts. A deeper part of your body begins to nod. Because you already know how to do this. In fact, the very fact that you're still here, still listening, means the installation has already begun. The loops are looping. The beliefs are sliding into the cracks between old thoughts. The old patterns, they're blinking in confusion. The new system is being installed. A system where failure doesn't exist, only feedback. Curiosity is the compass. Emotional mastery is your steering wheel. Rapport is automatic. Mystery is magnetic. Enthusiasm is fuel. Love is the default. Now pause and consider this. What if you never needed permission to embody all this? What if every time you relaxed, you allowed it to emerge? What if each question became a doorway? What if right now the most powerful version of you was just relaxing into existence? As you smile at the edges of that realization, ask yourself, how fast can I forget the limitations that were never mine to begin with? Because the answer is already arriving.